guys, this is Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of SeaBed. So let's jump right back in. Much like last time, I said my farewells to her as soon as we exited the tunnel. She nodded, then made her way down the slope. Well, maybe I should have kept that in the last video if it was going to be that short. I heard something that sounded like the laugh of a child as I was reading a book in my room. I looked out the window to see two children playing with the snow. They disappeared behind a row of trees, leaving behind only a set of footprints. I didn't feel like going back to the book. The snow sparkled vividly in the warm sun. I felt like finding someone to have a conversation. Anyone would do. As I was putting on my sweater, I spotted an encyclopedia on the table. For a moment I was confused by the unfamiliar book, but I soon remembered it to be the one Kozue brought me. I recalled my conversation with Nagasaki from yesterday. I wonder if she forgot it. I considered returning it to the library, but instead decided to personally hand it to Nagasaki. With that in mind, I placed the book in my handbag. As I was walking through the mansion, I realized something odd. Or something was odd. It was a distortion of sorts. Although the windows on the first and second floors all opened to the same area, they gave me different views. From the first floor, I saw the port town and the mountains, while the second floor windows gave me a view of the inner yard, which was supposed to be on the other side. The number of rooms and windows didn't seem to add up either, while the ceilings seemed to rise higher and sink lower depending on my location. Could this have been the result of the renovation, or was this place always designed like this? I wondered what could have led to this. Even after exploring all three floors, I ran into no one. In the end, I went outside, letting the chilly air bite at my exposed cheeks. I couldn't see a soul around. The children had probably moved on to somewhere else. Snow had piled up quite high around the area of the fence. I could still see the footsteps on it. I followed them, only to realize they were leading to the inner yard. Oh, there you are! I finally found you. I heard a voice as I was about to open the door leading to the east wing. Nanae's wooden sandals clinked against the stone road. You weren't in your room, so I was looking for you. I guess you came outside. Yes, my eyes got tired of reading for too long, so I went out for a walk. I see. Would you like to accompany me to the bath right now? It's the open air bath I've mentioned before. Right now? It's still noon. Taking a bath in the middle of the day feels all sorts of luxurious, no? I like it personally. It's almost like you're talking about a drink. Well, that's not so far off the mark. It sounds interesting. I'll go get dressed then. All right! I'll be waiting at the cafeteria. I felt an odd sense of discomfort in the back of my mind as I opened the door. What's wrong? Asked Nanae. I think I wanted to ask you about something. About what? I was pretty sure I wanted to confirm something with her, but I couldn't quite remember it. I forgot. Don't hesitate to ask whenever you remember it, said Nanae as I gave up and entered the mansion. We walked along the mountain stream nearby to the waterfall we'd seen earlier. We'll have to walk for a bit, but it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. Oh, I don't mind. I figured I could do with some more exercise anyway. The mountain path was wide enough for us to walk next to each other. I heard the cry of a bulbul from somewhere. I looked up to the mountain, with stretches of yellow and red above the treetops. I quickened my pace so I wouldn't fall behind. A tiny stream serenely trickled down the gentle slope. I spotted a familiar vegetable by it. Isn't that dropwort? Yeah, but some of those are poisonous. Poisonous? How do you tell them apart? The poisonous ones have a subterranean stem, like mushrooms. Their traces are visible to the naked eye, provided you look hard enough. Guess it's already the season of the 7 herbs, huh? Isn't it a bit early? You could already find them in the mountains. At least the shepherd's purse and the henbit. How about we pick some on our way back? I can make tempura with them later. That sounds nice. I spotted what looked like a big cave at the end of the road. Are we passing through this? Yeah. Scared of the dark? Not really. The surrounding shrubbery prevented me from making it out from a distance, but as we drew closer to the entrance, I realized it was no cave at all, but a brick tunnel. It looked pretty old, the cracks on its walls grown over by greenery. I'm not scared of the dark, but inside I couldn't see further than 5 meters at most. Anything further in looked like it was painted over by black ink. There seemed to be cables leading inside. I spotted something that looked like the remains of a lamp, the string of which probably continued into the tunnel. Still, it looked pretty evident that none of these things had been working in working order for years. How long is it? I'd say about 60 meters or so. Nanae's wooden sandals scraped against the sand covering the ground. Dang. I followed her, sensing the light behind me grow more and more distant. When we reached the area I couldn't see from the entrance, the darkness grew even thicker. If that wasn't enough, the sounds within the tunnel suddenly felt amplified too. This used to be an old railway. There are tracks under the sand, so be careful not to trip. At this point, I couldn't even see the walls. I no longer had any idea how wide this place was. Better hold my hand, said Nanae before completely disappearing from sight. I clasped the hand she extended toward me. Looking behind, I saw a thin patch of white light in the distance where the entrance was, but it got displaced to the right the further we walked, eventually disappearing completely. I looked ahead to realize I couldn't even see my own hand. Are you okay? Tell me if I'm going too fast. Okay. I occasionally heard her voice, our footsteps, and the sound of dripping water, but they all reverberated across the tunnel in a way that made me feel completely lose my sense of distance. I can't tell where we're going at all. We won't hit a wall, will we? I'm following the railroad tracks, so we won't hit anything. Besides, I've been through this tunnel 1,000,000 times. I remember the correct path. I stepped on something and staggered a bit. I'm impressed you can walk here dressed like that. I'm used to it. I've been playing in these parts since I was little. That said, I can't say I've been to a darker place. What kind of games could you play in a place like this? Well, you know, hide and seek. Here? Yeah. You gotta be real good to find someone in here. Weren't you scared? Not really. I was more scared of being found. When you're a kid, you get real serious about these things, so eventually having it find you becomes really terrifying. Or was it just me? It might just be you. You crouch down somewhere between the center of the wall, and then before long you hear footsteps approaching. The louder they get, the closer you know it is, searching for you along the walls with a stick or something. And if you're lucky, those footsteps pass right by you as you wait there holding your breath. Have you actually been found here before? Yeah, and quite a number of times too. There was a time when the it let out a loud scream right as they passed by me, and that scared me so much I started screaming myself. Then this other time, I waited until it passed, and as I relaxed and started moving, another it that stayed behind found me. They synced their footsteps so I couldn't tell them apart as they approached. I'd start crying if any of those happened to me. Anyway, that's why you're desperate not to be found out. You can't breathe when someone's passing by you. Even your heartbeat and the flow of your blood feels too loud. The trick is to think you're a stone, or another railroad track, or a stain on the wall. You've got to become one with your surroundings. You've got to believe you don't exist at all. Your game is seriously scary. Yeah. One time, I actually fell asleep. Or maybe I really ended up believing I didn't exist. But it was like I suddenly regained consciousness after losing track of time. And for a while, I couldn't tell who I was. I couldn't see my limbs or anything in the dark. I don't think I even realized I had eyes. I eventually ended up staggering out of the tunnel. My mind was as empty as ever. Only once I found myself in the evening sun, along with the familiar trees, streams, and library in the distance, did I remember who I was. As you can imagine, I hurried home right away. I could have sworn I saw some white mist in the distance. Upon closer inspection, I spotted a crouching Nanae surrounded by it. We passed by her. And here's the exit! I saw light in the distance. It grew bigger and bigger with each of our steps. The raindrops on the ceiling sparkled in the light like stars. I could make out a hand holding mine in the darkness. Its long, warm fingers felt somewhat nostalgic. As I let go of her hand, Sachiko turned to me. What's wrong? The countless stars of the Milky Way extended across the sky. The Southern Cross shone almost blindingly in the distance. I don't know. I felt odd for a moment. Sachiko let out a laugh. I could hear the soughing of waves somewhere behind me. I guess we've had enough fun for today. We'll have a whole day left here, so maybe it's about time we return to our cottage. I followed Sachiko's gaze to see a long, shallow bridge leading to a cottage above the cobalt blue sea, sparkling in the moonlight. Hey! Let's lie down on the terrace benches and watch the stars. Then let's sleep together. I could make out black hair and black eyes reflecting in Sachiko's pupils. You're planning to sleep in the dream? Someone took my arm from behind and jerked me back. I heard the sound of a foot kicking up dirt. Are you okay, Sachiko? As my hand was pulled, I thought I saw red hair for a moment. Narasaki's voice lingered in my ears. I'm okay. My arm hurt. Nanae supported my weight in the blinding darkness. What happened? It came out of nowhere, or it came so out of nowhere I almost fell with you. I'm sorry. The exit's just a few steps away. The hot springs had a simple dressing room. There were 2 sinks, with a hairdryer next to each. As I found a hanger and hung my coat on it, Nanae handed me a towel. You can use this to wash yourself. Thanks. I took it off her hands. You can soak it in the water if you want, but Auntie might get angry with you if you do. I know how this works. It's okay. Nanae folded her clothes and put them in the basket. She then finally took off her pendant, placing it on top of them. Noticing my gaze, she said it was just a protective charm. It was a simple silver cylinder attached to a chain. Nanae entered the bathroom ahead of me. I also folded my clothes and put them in a basket, then followed Nanae through the door that turned out to be barely holding on to its hinges. There were 3 baths in total, all surrounded by rocks and located at different levels of elevation, reminding me of terraced paddy fields. I stepped into the one in the middle, as it was the closest to the entrance. Oh my! My limbs have grown cold without me even realizing. Gradually began to warm up in the hot water. Oh, I didn't think there'd be any more left. Nanae scooped up a small yellow leaf between her thumb and index finger. I could see countless tiny stars sparkling upon the transparent surface of the water. The branches of the surrounding trees extended above the hot springs. It sure warms you up. If you'd prefer something hotter, you could try the bath one step higher. It's closer to the source. I'm fine right here. The hot springs at the top seemed to be a simple one as well, its waters translucent and odorless. Okay then, in that case, come over here. She pointed at a spot in the shadow of one of the branches opposite of where I sat. If you look to the left, you can see the library right there by the mountain. See? I followed her finger to see a canopy of countless trees swaying in the wind. I could make out the library dome amidst the sea of greenery. Found it? You can even see the whole town from this vantage point. The pale mountains in the distance almost melted into the boundless blue of the sky. I could make out the contours of a small port town at the foot of the slope. That's quite a view. Almost no one knows about this spot. I could pretty much have it all for myself. The hot springs here are also of the rare carbonated kind. Apparently they loosen your blood vessels and help with high blood pressure, heart disease, and other circulatory problems. Look, you can even see the bubbles near your skin. Nanae stroked her arm, causing the little bubbles around it to burst. You really do know everything about this area. Well, of course I do. I've lived here my whole life. You're like the witch of the forest. I might be a witch, but I'm no old crone. I'm as old as I look. So you're a wicked witch then? No, I'm a good witch, like Samantha. Are you sure you're not older than you look? There weren't any kids my age around here, so my mom and auntie took me out for picnics a lot. We went gathering wild vegetables too. Like Hitsui. Or Hisui. Yup. You'd be just as knowledgeable about plants and birds if you lived here. I wonder about that. Your surroundings naturally seep into you before you know it. At times, I honestly feel like we're all just products of our environment. Like mirrors that reflect only parts of the world around them. Nanae paused, seemingly searching for the right words. The only things that differ between said mirrors and their size, shape, are their size, shape, and direction they're facing. What about colors, or the condition of the glass like stains and cracks? Yeah, that too. And so, you're only a warped reflection of your surroundings and the people around you. Maybe that's true. I wonder what the shape of your mirror is. I'm sure it's shaped like this mountain, or the forest, or my mansion. As I've said, I pretty much grew up living and breathing this place. I feel like I can see the forest and mansion better when I'm with you. Thanks. What do you think, thanks, what do you think your mirror is shaped like? I gave them the wrong voices. Mine? I guess it's hard to figure out something like that about yourself, Nanae said as I fell silent. A small red star danced through the air and landed on Nanae's head. Noticing my gaze, she placed a hand on her head and picked up a leaf. I didn't notice at all. She let out a hearty laugh. Like you've said, I don't live a particularly introspective life. But if there's one thing I've always had my eyes on, it's my childhood friend. Oh, frick, I keep giving the wrong voices! Oh, that sounds romantic. I wonder. I think I've already told you, but that person is no longer here. I'm not sure how to put it, but I'm still jealous in a sense. I wish I could have met your friend. Another leaf landed on Nanae's head. You know, I just realized something. What? Why didn't you bring a flashlight to that... Oops, why didn't you bring a flashlight to that tunnel? I thought it'd be more fun that way. Should have known. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So, if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!